So I just read Race to Crashpoint Tower by Daniel José Older. Thank you to Disney Lucasfilm for sending me a copy to review.
Without the council, and without you.
Yeah, this book is definitely small. It definitely skews on the younger side, but don't let that stop you from reading it. As the old adage goes, don't judge a book by its cover.
I'm Lee's new muscle. And don't let this robe fool you. This is the only color they had left.
And certainly don't ever judge a book by its reading level, although you could theoretically judge this book positively by its cover. This book is every bit Star Wars and more. It also comes with art. You won't get that in the older readers. So the story follows Padawan Ram Jomaram stationed on the Jedi outpost on Valo, as his whole world is turned upside down in a span of a day, as well as Padawan Lula Talasola and civilian Mickey and friend Zine Morala. If those names sound familiar to you, that would be because we've met these characters in Daniel's other works, High Republic Adventures. This book, while standing on its own, works best as a companion piece to Cavan Scott's The Rising Storm. And what I mean is that the stories overlap with events in that book, which gives you a broader sense of what is happening all around. A conflict is happening here that stands on its own, and had it been included in The Rising Storm, probably would have muddied the waters a bit and clashed with that story, which is why I appreciate this book so much more. As I mentioned, it's a younger reading level, but let's not gloss over Daniel José Older's masterful prose. The characters Daniel writes usually feel real and true, and while that's universally achieved across the books I've read thus far in the High Republic, Daniel runs a clinic on writing characters that you feel like you'd probably hang out with in real life. Ram Jomaram, Lula, and Zine fit this criteria to the T. I definitely also want to give a shout out to Ram Jomaram for being the most unique Jedi. With discipline surrounding martial prowess and academic studies, it's no wonder I find such predilection with Ram being a mechanic, someone who understands machines. Speaking of which, I would have loved Ram in Star Wars The Old Republic, because being a Force user in that game meant you couldn't crowd control inorganics or machines or droids. And I feel like Ram would be all the more invaluable for his ability to not use the Force on inorganics, but to use the Force to manipulate intricate workings of machines to make them malfunction. You can't pacify a droid with Force stasis, but you can certainly use the Force to twist a few screws loose from their chassis. And I thought Ram's usage in this book of the Force with his knowledge of mechanics was a total breath of fresh air. What I also love about this book that I loved about Test of Courage, another young reader, is that it's from the perspective of Padawans and young Jedi who are still in the process of learning. So if you ever find yourself trying to understand the Force and the teachings of the Jedi, or have misgivings about the Jedi, you'll find that most of these misgivings are misconceptions. Place yourself beside these characters who are still learning, and you'll learn yourself. The added Force lore this learning affords you is a bonus. The final thing I'll say about this book, and the best thing about this book, is that it's a story about the unsung heroes. As I mentioned, this book is great on its own, but it does serve as a great companion piece to The Rising Storm, because across these books, we find our protagonists facing impossible odds and overcoming dire situations. But reading this after Rising Storm, you start to realize that these characters, who were on what was for all intents and purposes a side quest, were a huge variable and determining factor in how things turned out in The Rising Storm. Without this story, without these characters, the most crucial moment in the grander narrative is a passing mention. These are the unsung heroes. So read this book. You'll love it. And if you pick up The Rising Storm as well, and read that, you'll love it even more. But that'll do it for my review of Daniel José Older's Race to Crashpoint Tower. If you enjoyed this video, if I helped you decide on whether or not you were going to read this or not, please leave a like, subscribe for more Star Wars content, hit the bell notification so you know when I post new videos. Join us live every week for a Diet in the Force, ask us some questions, hang out, all that good stuff. But of course, that is the end. On to the next one. For light and life, we are all the Republic, and may the Force be with you.